Bang, bang. What's cracking with it? Mr. Sundown will be tapping in any minute. Most definitely. He's going to be coming in here, so we're going to be able to ask him questions, get down to all the bottom of everything. What's up with it, gente? Can you guys see me? Can you guys hear me? Hit a 1 if you guys could see me. Let's do what we're doing, man. What's cracking? I see Andy, Mr. 209, Balls Ride Longer, AC Ibarra, Liz. All the homies are in here. What else world you just living in? Hey, Francisco, do you know a homeboy named Face of Lodi? That's right, a 1. Everyone can see me. What's cracking? We're just waiting on Mr. Sundown to tap in. He definitely knows the time. He will be tapping in any minute, and it's going to be on and cracking. What's up with it? What's up with the gente tonight? Yes, indeed. We were going to have Mr. Sundown in here, man, to answer some questions. And, you know, I got a few things I want to talk to him about. I want to ask him about. We're going to make it happen. Oh, boy. We're going to really get it to happening, man. Julio Gonzalez, Buzz2314. What's up, Matt? Super Miata Brothers, Robert Pimentel 805, Rich DM. I got you playing on 3 devices to help the algorithm. Gracias. I appreciate you, my brother. Thank you. Hit that like. One time for your mind. Flaco de Sinaloa. Saludos. I send mines. Dope hat. Gracias. Chicano Clothing Line, man. If you want one, tap in to the one Mr. Pete Rodriguez, man, over there on Instagram. Chicano Clothing Company. Yes, indeed, man. Gunner, check the link I sent you. Someone's using is that right? Is that what they're doing? Hey, Gunner, appreciate you putting this together. That's right, man. I appreciate you too. Let me make sure that the homeboy can get to his computer and make it happen. I'm going to give him a phone call right now. He's definitely going to be in here. Let me call him, make it happen. Rick Riley is definitely coming in right now. What's up, brother? I'm putting the link up right now.
Okay, I'm waiting for you to link up. I'm over here.
Yep, I'm right there. The link's up. All you got to do is tap the link. Yep, I'm on already, brother.
Well, I don't have you here.
Yeah.
You should be on my notifications.
Yeah, it takes a while sometimes to get the notification. Just tap in Gunners Collective and you'll see it right there live. Yes, sir. All right, brother. You'll see the link. Just tap the link. All right. Technical difficulties. The homeboy will be coming in right now. Gunner, where do you get your backgrounds and flags? Oh, man, I got a lot of different spots that I go to, bro, all over the Bay Area, the Valley. Just depends. If I see something in the store that I want, bro, I jump on it. Where can I get that hat, bro? You got to go on Instagram, Chicano Clothing Company, man. They got it. We're just waiting on Sundown. He'll be in here any minute. The Spence up for the holdup, but the homeboy is coming. I just talked to him right now. He was waiting for the notification. Of course, you know how YouTube does it, man. They're not on it like that. So he'll definitely be on here. Big Pimpin' QOSC. I see you, man. Jojo from the AZ. Shout out to the Chicano Clothing Line. Yes, indeedy. Ralphie Garcia. Lucky Loco says, Gunner, what's happening, my brother? I see you. Matt, gracias. I appreciate you, my brother. Just tap the link. Hey, that's all you got to do is tap the link. Let me put it right here for the homeboy again so he could tap in. And we're going to make it happen. He's definitely going to come in here. South side of Los. Orale, the Ranchino Jesus. Was Donnie Sundown Sally? I can't call it like an alcoholic. I don't think so, brother. Wolfman82. Trip out, gente. Here is the man with the master plan, as promised. What's happening, brother?
Hey, all right. Let me. I know you're gonna have echoes here. Let me knock out some of these stuff.
Okay, you just got to knock out that where it says YouTube. Take that out and just keep just us right here. Gage Maravilla, Senor Rojo's in the building.
Okay, how are we now?
Oh, we're perfect, brother. So, hey, as promised, the OG, Mr. Sundown, Nuestra Familia member, many years. You already know what it is, man. Get your questions ready. But I wanted to ask him a question. Hey, first of all, brother, I appreciate your time. I know time is precious, man. I appreciate everything you do, all the support that you show for the gente, for the raza, and for the prisoners that are still incarcerated, man. I also want to let everyone know all the proceeds that are raised today, if anyone decides to send anything, half of it will be going to Mr. Sundown so he can give back to the prisoners that are still incarcerated, man. That's what he does. This man reaches back. Now, with that being said, I wanted to discuss, bro, that separation, that split that happened between the Fresno F-14er Bulldogs and the NF back in them days, man? Because we always get a lot of different stories, man. What's the real deal? I know you were right there, brother.
Yeah, I was right there in San Quentin, the East Block. What happened was, okay, there was the split. We had the split with us, the Civil War, the split with the NF. Okay, so what they had there in East Block, because they brought all the Cardinales from West Hall and East Hall, they brought them all over to San Quentin where we were. We were already in East Block in San Quentin. Okay. So they brought all those brothers over and they housed them in there with us too, but on different tiers. And so the dudes from Fresno came with them. All right, so for a few months when Crackers was there, now Crackers was a tier tender, and he would be hollering up at his homeboys that were with. They called us. Now, don't get mad, anybody out there, but we were NF1, they were NF2. That's the way it was classified. We were the old guys, Bobo, Fig, all of us, Casper, all of us, and then it was NF2 with Hobo, Black Bob, and all them. Anyway. So with the NF2, we had all the boys from Fresno were up there with them, the ones that were from Fresno up there with them. And we had a couple guys from Fresno down with us too. So what started happening for a couple of months was the wheelers were flying. You know what I mean? Back and forth, wheelers were flying. Crackers was trying to talk the boys from Fresno up in there into leaving those guys up there and tell them, hey, get away from them guys. And so but Crackers would be hollering up at them, and Crackers would be doing things with them. And so what happened was they got at the Fresno boys and told them, hey, cut Crackers loose. You guys can't be communicating with Crackers. We don't know what's going on with the wheelers and all that other stuff, cut it loose. And they got and they said, well, we can't do that because Crackers is the homie, right? We don't roll like that, So they said, well, no, cut Crackers loose. So anyway, so the wheelers had been going back and forth for a couple of months, about Crackers trying to pull them. Crackers was working on pulling them away from the NF2. And so what happens is they decide one day that they're going to make an example out of a couple of the Fresno boys up on the upper lower yard. They're going to move on them. But the Fresno boys get wind of this. And so when they go out to the yard that day, instead of waiting, for them to go move on them, the Fresno boys are up there, rushed the NF. A group of the guys were there. They rushed them and started getting off, And so the Fresno boys did not wait. They rushed, And so that's when the shotgun started going off and all that crap like that. And one of the pellets from the shotgun hit some guy in the throat and it killed him. So as a result of that, they no longer use shotguns. They went to the Mini 14s, and everybody knows when they went to the Mini 14s, I was the first one to get shot with the Mini 14s, there, saving Fig. But anyway, so they're up there. We offered, now us in F1, we offered the Fresno guys sanctuary with us. We told them, hey, you guys can come program with us. You can come to our yards. That's what was being laid out there, right? You guys can go ahead and come to our yards. You'll be all right. And so what ended up happening is they decided, well, a few of them came over to our yard, but the bulk of them decided that they wanted their own yard, and they put them on integrated yard. So they put them on an integrated yard for a while. And so that was what happened there. Crackers was pulling them. Crackers had been getting kites to them, telling them to cut these guys loose and to come. And the Fresno was Fresno, and Fresno didn't need to be riding with anybody. That was what Crackers was about, Fresno for Fresno. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And all we offered them was sanctuary on our yards. You know what I mean? In other words, hey, you're free to program here with us. We're not going to try to dictate your program. You know what I mean?
And did they jump on that, or did they separate?
A few of them came over to our yard, like 9,000 and them, Benji, and them, they came over to our yard. But for the most part, they wanted to stay by themselves, Yeah. And so the staff gave them the integrated yard at first, put them on an integrated yard. And then eventually they got their own little yard and stuff like that, So, yeah, but they didn't wait for the NF to get off on them. They rushed, because they knew it was coming. So they rushed. And there was some people got hurt. You know, nobody got killed except for the guy that got shot by the ricochet shotgun pellet. You know.
Yeah, definitely. So, what was the time when you first started noticing them take on the Bulldog moniker? They started saying Bulldogs. I know that might have been after your time. Were they saying it
No,
even then?
It wasn't after my time.
Yeah.
Actually, they were already relating to the Bulldogs because of the Fresno Bulldogs, the teams.
Yeah.
You know, the college teams and stuff like that. But they hadn't actually called themselves Bulldogs. You know what I mean? They were still the F-14ers. You know, and that's when they were proud to be F-14ers. You know what I mean? They were Fresno and they were F-14. Pretty much, there was I can't remember the guy's name. He was a kind of an older guy that he was more or less running the car for him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He had been around. I can't remember his name right now, but he more or less was dictating their program. You know, not that they had a shot caller, but everybody looked to him. You know, all the Fresno boys looked to him. And it wasn't just Fresno either. There were like the little outlying towns, the guys from the little towns around there too, you know, around Fresno. See, that's what a lot of people, they think Fresno Bulldogs, but a lot of those little towns around Fresno, they claim Bulldog. You know what I mean? They run Bulldog too. You know, and there's a lot of little towns around Fresno. You know that.
Yeah.
You know?
Definitely.
You know, so there was those guys too. So anyway, so as they were coming in, they started getting their own yard. They started going to their own yard. No more were they going to NF2 yard, you know, because that was over. You know, and a couple of them drifted over onto our yard, you know, and we didn't dictate program to them or nothing like that. We let them do your thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We had our own problems with our internal conflict. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And I know Crackers, he was very instrumental in that. And coming from Bulldogs, man, I've talked to a lot of Bulldogs. They said that, you know, Crackers is a legend, man. His whole family. Now, you did a lot of time with him as well as his brother, man. How were
all his brothers?
How were they?
I did time with all his brothers. You know, I never knew a Vendiola that wasn't a warrior. You know what I mean? They were all bad to the bone. You know what I mean? As bad as Shadow was deadly. Indio was deadly. I think Barney was probably. I mean, not Barney. The heck was his name? Herman was probably the gentlest of them. He was like the youngest of them too. That was in the prison system, and he was kind of quiet, but he wasn't like he didn't have like the rep for being a violent guy like his brothers did. You know.
Yeah.
Shadow was kind of quiet too, a friendly guy. Everybody liked him. Shadow had charisma, but Shadow was deadly. I mean, so all of Indiolas were. But back to this in San Quentin. Now that thing didn't happen overnight. You know, it was a matter of months of Wheelers going back and forth, and them telling them to cut Crackers loose. And Crackers was getting at them. You know, telling them, "Come on, let's get away from them guys. We don't." You know, he was all about Fresno. You know what I mean? And so that was how the seeds were planted. You know what I mean? It was Crackers planting the seeds. It was Crackers watering them. You know, he was pumping that up into them. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That they needed to be independent. You know, and the only thing that, like with us, the only thing we offered was you know, hey, you can come to our yards. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it can happen, and we won't dictate your program. You know, like up there, they were getting their program dictated to them, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what Crackers was telling them about. Hey, you know, we don't, you know, need to be getting dictated to, you know?
So the dissension basically started more when the NF2 started to take hold. That's when the dissension started.
Yeah, they were trying to dictate their program.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, well, they dictated the Outsiders program. Now remember, they had started the Northern Structure thing.
Yeah.
You know, so anybody up there that wasn't a brother, wasn't a Cardinal, and was an outsider, he was, in order to be there, he had to be in the Northern Structure. He had to be, you know, Norteño. You know, they had a class there, 1, 2, and 3, just like they got now with their rankings.
Yeah.
They had to be in that, you know, so they had to be taking orders from the NF. You know what I mean? The program was being dictated to them. So Fresno boys, and I'm trying to think the little city. Give me some of the names of the cities around Fresno.
Oh, they got Huron and Selma and Clovis
Selma,
and
that's what I'm thinking.
Sanger.
Yeah, Sanger, them cities.
Sanger, yeah, all
Well,
in pretty much
all
Fresno County. Yeah,
the guys from there, you know what I mean? They rode with Fresno too.
yeah,
But so they were dictating the program. They didn't like having their program dictated, you know. And
yeah,
that's what Crackers played on that. Crackers played on, hey, you know, they're dictating your program, you know, get away from there where you don't have to be having your program dictated to you.
exactly.
So that's he planted all the seeds, and it was like I said, it was a matter of a few months before it finally jumped. You know what I mean? And they were going to make an example, but they got wind of it and they rushed. And man, their shotguns were going off that day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, I heard it was a good one, man. They said it was
Yeah.
a good one that everybody was rocking and rolling. That
Oh, everybody
you
was
know,
rocking. You know, so man, them shotguns was hitting everybody. Like I
and,
said, a guy caught that pellet in his throat and they killed him. And that was the
and
end of the shotguns.
and so what happened with the Southsiders during that time? Meaning they're getting off, Bulldogs and Norteños are getting off, or NF members and Bulldogs. What was the makeup of the Southsiders? Did they just take a knee, back up because it wasn't their business, or what were they doing?
Interesting. The Southsiders in San Quentin, anyway, rode with us.
Mm,
Yeah, they didn't have a problem with us. You know what I mean? And we didn't have a problem with them. You know what I mean? As long as they weren't with the Emmy. You know what I mean? If they were just Southsiders doing their own little thing, just Sureños, we didn't care. You know what I mean? And so they kind of, I don't say they rode with us, but they kind of sympathized with us. You know what I mean? We didn't have to watch out for spears through the bars from them. You know what I mean? They
absolutely.
weren't trying to get at us, you know, because we were just leaving them alone. You know, it was just kind of a respect thing. With us, we were too caught up with our internal affairs. You know, with this civil war that just jumped off. You know what I mean? Because they're over here trying to hit us. You know, and we have to be more concerned about that. You know,
Yeah,
than to be worried about taking on all kind of enemies everywhere when we were smaller than they were. You know, I mean, our faction was smaller than their faction. You know, so we couldn't afford to be fighting everybody.
yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
so if the Sureños wanted peace, hey, all right, no problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So they didn't fuck with us. They didn't mess with us, and we didn't mess with them. You know
yeah,
what I mean? And so for a while there, you know,
yeah,
while it was going on, but they were getting busy with NF2. You know,
yeah.
and NF2 was still moving on them. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And Norteños and shit like that.
Yeah,
Where
and at that time, where the NF2, they were just primarily fucking pulling soldados from the Norteño faction,
yeah,
and then that's when the MS started pulling them from the Sureño faction, right?
yeah, yeah. Well, the EMA had already been doing that in a sense, you know, but the
Okay.
EMA doesn't operate like that. They don't have to. You know, one of the things about the EMA is a guy sitting in Pelican Bay can be running the yard in Pleasant Valley. You know what I mean? Through just street guys. You know what I mean? Not
Yeah.
made guys. You know, just Sureños that are trying to get made. You know what I mean? Trying to get to be a camarada in good standing and stuff. They called it, right?
Yeah.
And so they, you know, that's how they ran their program. Like I said, it was interesting that a guy sitting in Pelican Bay could be running a yard, like I said, in Pleasant Valley or wherever, because the Sureños there, whoever's got the llaves, is his homeboy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's how that was working. And there were the dope that was being sold and stuff like that. The money was going to the guy sitting in Pelican Bay. You know what I mean? It was an interesting thing the way they were setting up. And so then the NF started doing that. See, it was the
Yeah.
NF who said, we got to do this too. You know what I mean? They're using these guys. We got to use these guys too. A lot of the Southerners in the beginning were not with that. You know what I mean? It was like, it took a while for them to fall in line with all that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot
Definitely.
of them, they wanted their independence. You know what I mean? They wanted to, they didn't mind representing the South, but they didn't want to be being dictated to in the beginning. And then eventually they all fell under.
Yeah. Wines Perez, man, old Wines, man. He says, ask Sundown when they rushed us in the upper yard. What year was that?
That was 80. Was it 84? I think it was 84. I think it was 84.
84. Now,
84.
who rushed who?
Well, the Bulldogs rushed them. And so
Okay.
because the Fresno boys rushed them because they knew that they were gonna try to hit them, you know.
Yeah.
So as soon as the last one got on the yard, they didn't wait. They were still bringing people in, you know. There was a lot more of them than there were of the Fresno boys. So once the Fresno boys all got out there, and the other little city guys that ran with them, once they were out there, then they rushed. You know what I mean? That
Yeah.
they didn't wait for them to even finish with bringing everybody to the yard. You
Yeah.
know,
Wine says Gordo was the motivating force behind Bulldogs. To ask you that, if you recall Gordo.
Gordo. I remember a Gordo. But then again, there were a few Gordos. You know what I mean? It
Oh
was like
yeah, that's a common name.
a common name. Um,
Yeah.
No, the guy that was the main guy that was calling the shots for them there, he was a kind of a skinny older guy, you know, and he was the one that had the influence there with all the Fresno boys because he was the one that more or less they all looked up to or listened to, and he was an older skinny guy, and I just can't remember his name. You know, he wasn't a gore though. He was skinny.
Skinny guy.
Yeah.
So at the time when the split happened between the NF1 and NF2, what happened with Death Row? Did he catch that Fed case and go Feds, or what was going on with him
He rolled before. He
before?
rolled before the split. Yeah,
Okay.
definitely Joe rolled before the split. See, what happened was the investigation into the money started, you know, and he was having so many people killed it wasn't funny. And what happened was he had his runner and the lieutenant on the street, which was the runner was his wife. He had them both killed and burned up and shit like that because of the investigation that started on the money. Well, they were the ones that were handing all the money going back and forth to him. You know what I mean? And so he conveniently had them killed, right? So he split, death row rolled. And that left us in a lurch for about 6 months, man. We were like wounded and staggered, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
definitely.
yeah, so and I told everybody that was gonna happen, man, But and Bobo made some mistakes. He didn't appoint captains to fill places. He should have, and by the time he did, it was too late. He was running with just lieutenants, and it was just wrong, and that's why he ended up getting ousted. But so they say that money was the issue. Now, the investigation started in Soledad in O-Wing. Cornejo started that stuff in an O-Wing, to try to impeach Bobo. Now, Fig talks about it in Fig's book. It's in Fig's book. So I don't know why everybody seemed to think it was Black Bob. Black Bob joined in on it once Cornejo came to Tracy. He right away got at Black Bob, and said, "Look, I'm conducting an investigation, all this other stuff." And so Bob jumped in on it, and Bob's juice, and yet it couldn't have been possible without Black Bob. But it was Cornejo who started it. He was the one who initiated the crap.
Yeah. And how was Black Bob? Was he very influential? I mean, he was able to start the mess. He said he must have been a very influential person.
The youngsters loved him. You know what I mean? Youngsters loved him. Here was this old man busting down, doing the machina harder than they were. You know what I mean? And the youngsters just loved him. They idolized him. So and he had charisma. Bob had some charisma about him.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so it was all the youngsters that really loved him.
Yeah. Let's distinguish something right now, Sundown, because me and you discussed it, man. Let's put it out there for these youngsters. Compared to the machina now, how was that machina back then?
Oh my God, 10 times harder.
10 times harder.
Oh my God. I mean, we're talking about. Let me see if I can recount it all. Okay, so you start with your push-ups. Well, you start with your jumping jacks, then you do your push-ups, then you do your mountain climbers, then you do your hand grips, then you do your half jacks, then you do your push-ups, then you do your jumping jack. Or you go back again. There were other exercises in there too, and you did that for like an hour, right? Till you were like exhausted, and then at that hour's point, you said, "All right, let's go. Take off your V8s and put on your boxers." and it was 2,000 jumping jacks, you know, nonstop after an hour of just going at it, right?
Yeah.
2,000, you know, and then after that 2,000 jumping jacks, you busted down and did the routine all over again. You know, I mean, you kept going, you know, so it was 2 hours minimum it took to run this thing, you know, and it wasn't just burpees. You know what I mean? That was not what it was. It wasn't just a bunch of burpees, you know. Every imaginable exercise you could think of that the body could do, we were doing it, you know. Even the hand grips, you know, the twirling arms, all that, you know, we're doing everything. Anything imaginable, mountain climbers, everything. Push-ups, like I said, the jumping jacks, the half jacks. It was a hell of a workout, man. And then after the workout, you took off running 25 laps. You know, the laps weren't that big, but it was still 25 laps right after. And then you were expected to go do whatever your program was. Like people continued to work out. You know, like myself, I worked out 7 days a week. You know what I mean? All day long. If I wasn't sleeping, I was doing some kind of workout, you know, because, you know, we were gladiators, you know what I mean? And we were real life gladiators. If you really want to look at it, we were real life gladiators, and you had to be ready, you know, and it wasn't, and I also taught the guerrilla warfare class, you know what I mean? Which I had to teach everybody guerrilla warfare, you know, literally how to kill with your bare hands, you know? So, and anything that could make a hole, how to make any kind of weapon. I told you about our version of,
the Kevlar vest,
the Kevlar vest. You know what I mean? I came up with that. You know, and that was it's like kind of like a double necklace you wear around your neck. You know, strings tied into the National Geographics. You know, 2 of them around your front, 2 of them around your back. You take your sheet band and you tie them up tight, and so you're ready. You know what I mean? And they'll save your life. You know what I mean? You can move and they'll save your life. I know one time, like when I got back, I looked at my jacket and I had 2 slices, 2 holes in the jacket, and the magazines had chunks on them, you know, little chunks of them. So, you know, was not able to penetrate to get me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Wines Perez asked a question. He says, "Do you remember the killing of Rocky? Do you remember that? The killing of Rocky? I guess he was a tier tender. Him and Wines were tier tenders at that time."
You know, I wasn't there when Rocky got killed.
Yeah, he says he wasn't there.
I didn't even know they killed Rocky. Is he talking about Big Rocky, the tall one, kind of lame guy?
Yeah, he's in the. I'm sure he'll chime in. Hey, you know, I was gonna ask you. Yeah, you know, at one point in time, like we discussed, man, you were actually a maestro of not weaponry, like macaron, but a maestro of or what was it? A maestro of
guerrilla warfare.
Guerrilla warfare, maestro. Yeah. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, you had to teach these guys, you know.
Mine was guerrilla warfare. I taught guerrilla warfare, and literally, you know, teach you how to take a man out, kill him, make weapons out of anything and everything, where to hit him, how to hit him, you know, from the front, from the back, from the side, you know, use anything and everything, you know, your teeth if you have to, you know, bite their face off if you have to, you know.
Yeah. Do you remember a man named Raymond Pacheco from Brole? He was an NF member.
Brole.
From Brole. Raymond Pacheco. Does that strike a bell?
Brole, Raymond Pacheco. The last name does. Pacheco does.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does strike a bell, but I can't see his face right now in my mind. You know, but that name does it is familiar.
Yeah. So when these Bulldogs broke off and that was established, was there still Fresno Norteños getting pulled into the NF? Because, you know, there still was Fresno Norteños even to this day.
Yeah, there were still a few, you know, a couple, you know, because you did have a couple that were still with them. But you know what happened was when Sammy Venegas, you had Venegas and you had the Vindiolas. See, Kuka was the last one, I believe. But when they left, when Sammy split, and then his brothers, he pulled his brothers out, and they were working on, and yeah, like I said, the other guys from Selma and stuff like that, the other little cities around there. But they still had guys that would get in the NF for a while. because Bulldogs was not yet fully Bulldogs. You know what I mean? Other than that car that had broke off in San Quentin. Now that was the car that broke off in San Quentin. It still had to spread throughout the system.
Yes, sir.
That took a matter of years. You know what I mean? But it was just a matter of time because how word is spreads. Fresno no longer runs with the NF.
Yeah.
And so and the NF had put them on their hit list. As far as Fresno guys, get off on them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What was the deal? The deal brokered between the M and Dakota. Do you recall that?
Dakota.
Yeah. So ask him to touch on the M and Dakota deal, please.
Oh, you're talking about, okay, on that deal, what that came down to was it was a matter of establishing our regiments when we first got out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Stannis Stevens, I guess was his name. He had Gilbert. He had already was dealing out of Dakota and he was dealing heroin. They were dealing heroin. You know what I mean? And so it was like we had just got told that we were not to be using heroin and all that shit like that. And there was more money in cocaine at that time.
Okay.
Cocaine and crank. And so, and we still dealt heroin. Don't get me wrong. We still dealt some heroin. But the deal was this. Look, we can run around here driving around trying to kill each other. You know what I mean? But let's just look the other way. You can have Dakota. We're not going to come in there and try to take over Dakota. And you stay out of the rest of the Bay Area. You know what I mean? It was like part of A Street and Dakota. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So in the beginning, because we had to establish our regiments. We weren't strong enough yet to be having a war out there and just killing each other and not making no money. You know what I mean? And my orders when I was sent out were to make sure that the Rock, because the Rock was coming out behind me, had a fully functioned regiment ready for him. You know what I mean? He wanted to come out and have a fully functioning regiment. That was my job, was to establish a regiment for him.
Okay.
And aside from that, I was also helping establish other regiments too. They were moving me around and stuff like that. So that was the deal anyway. The deal was, we're gonna look the other way. You deal over here, stay out of here. We had the whole rest of the Bay Area. The whole Bay Area. I mean, and so and they were happy with it because they were making their money there. What we did have going on in Dakota, though, even though they were doing that, we had the cockfights. We had cockfights. We had part of the cockfights that were going on. We still kept the cockfights, and that was through Toro, Big Toro, Miguel Garza. He was Cardinal. So yeah, that was Dakota.
That was the deal. A couple questions. So one, I know you did time with DC. How was DC as a Cardinal, man? From what I've heard, he was a very quiet individual, kind of just did his own thing, man. How was he?
DC was a good brother. He was quiet. He was not, silent, but he was not a loud guy. He was about his business. You know what I mean? He took it serious. He took everything serious.
Yeah. Did you ever do time with Tarzan from
No. I never did. I never did time with Tarzan.
Okay. Yeah, Tarzan, he was always in the feds from what I hear most of the time. Mr. C asked, Mr. Sundown, what do you think about this North-South peace treaty that's going on nowadays, this end of hostilities?
Well, I hope it can last. I hope it can last. I don't think it will. Because the tendency about animals is if you see a weakness, and right now the North is weak with what happened to the NF. You know what I mean? So there's a weakness there right now with what's going on with the NF. And the thing that they have to be leery of is because the Sureños, as more people keep coming across that border, they just keep growing. You know what I mean? Yeah. And eventually it's a matter of just, you got to take over. They're going to have more territory because there's more people, and so it's, how much are you willing to give up in order to keep the peace? Have the peace, but be leery. You know what I mean? Be ready.
Someone's going to have to, give a little.
Yeah,
That's what it all comes down to.
yeah. And right now, it's the North that has to give, you know, because they're standing on a weaker foot, you know,
Yeah.
with what's going on, you know. So, you know, I would like say, okay, the peace treaty is good. That's great. But I would be using this peace treaty as time to build my army. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? That's what I would be doing, is building my ranks, building my soldiers, you know, getting our weapons up, you know, all that. That's what I would be using the peace for if I was still, you know, in that life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And as you've seen the NF start to gravitate towards what they are now, or even prior to the 90s, what was your thinking, that the ship was going in a good direction, or that it just fell apart, man, and it just wasn't what you guys started it out to be, you know, or what they started it out to be?
No, I always believed that it would get set straight. We knew that there would be rocky waters. You know, you
Mhm.
got, when you get into this kind of thing and you're going to be killing people for it, and you're going to be risking your life for it, you know, and your freedoms and all that stuff, you better be sure about what you're involved in. So when I looked at it, and so, you know, others like me who I associated with and we believed, Cardinales, my Cardinales, you know, we knew that there were going to be the turbulent waters, there were going to be the storms, but eventually the ship would set itself right. You know, we may lose a lot in the process, but we would grow stronger from it. You know, I always saw us growing stronger from everything. You know,
Yeah.
and the goal was always there, even with the split, even with the treason, even with all that. You know, everything could be made right. You know,
Yeah.
and it was eventually made right when we made the peace, and it became only one NF again instead of
Yeah.
NF1 and NF2. You know, and it was
Yeah.
okay, one NF. Then we had the reentry program, you know, where the people with me could go back in, you know, and re-enter and make it one NF, you know. So,
Yeah.
you know, it righted itself. You know, it's always going to right itself. You know, rocky, you know, and then it's going to right itself. You
Yeah.
know, it's just it's leadership. You know,
Okay.
they have to be about the long range vision, and that's why lifers who are in prison and are not going to get out, they have to have that vision, you know, and the time to sit there and know that this is going to take time and we're going to go through some stuff, and have the vision to make the right moves necessary, appoint the right people. You know, it's a process, man. It's a process. Leadership is hard. You know?
Yeah. So who established the Nuestra Rasa, and what was the thinking behind that, brother? What was, you know, were they
Hey,
soldados really for the at the NF's behest, or what was that?
okay. Now, the one that you would want to ask about that, believe it or not, is Flaco. But
Yeah.
I will tell you what I know.
Yeah.
Okay. What started was we were going to draw from the Norteños. You know what I mean? We were going to use them to run the lines for us, to deal the drugs and all that stuff, to get rid of our enemies. That was the whole purpose of drawing them together. As far as the Nuestra Raza, you had to give these Norteños something to shoot for other than before they could become, you know, Cardenales. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So as they graduated into, okay, you now you're Nuestra Raza, you know, and then you're going to become, you know, Nuestra Familia. So my understanding is that was the process, you know.
Yeah.
Uh, like I said, the better person to ask about Nuestra Raza would
Yeah.
be Flaco.
Yeah.
You
He
know,
knows a lot of the history
yeah,
as well as
about
I
that.
do. When you
I
get
was
based on
already, I was not on that side. I
yeah.
was on the other side. You know, they had control of those reins. You know, why they did that, I can only tell you what I was told. I can only tell you what I speculate, which is that this was the graduation thing. You know, from the general population of Norteños, you know what I mean, to the more serious guys who are going to handle business.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Did you ever, back in them days, you know, things were different prior to the Sureño Norteños, you know, really going to war and things of that nature. Prior to that, on them yards, man, did you ever have good relationships with Southsiders, with Sureños? You know, the old school
Yeah.
lot?
Yeah. We all got along before, you know, all that crap kicked off and shit like that, you know? And then
Yeah.
after a while, it was like everybody, no, it was the yards were going down every other day, you know?
Yeah.
Be a group of Serenos, a group of Martanios, be out there rushing each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Uh,
So here's a question. Here's my own question. I wanted to know. So a guy got on here. He's incarcerated again, man. He's a Bob also, but he got on a while back, man. A former Aryan Brotherhood member, Michael Thompson, and he told a story about disarming and taking down 6 armed NF members. In your assumption, bro, and just on the outside looking in, do you think at that time that was possible in that era?
Bruce Lee couldn't have done that. Yeah, that's bullshit, man. Michael Thompson. Listen, I did time with Michael Thompson.
Yes, sir.
I was there. I was there during the era that he said all this happened. I'll tell you about Michael Thompson. He's a J cat. He is. He's a J cat. But he's dangerous. Don't get me wrong. He's a murderer. He's a killer. But he did not disarm those 6 NFs with knives. That's bullshit. Straight up. That's bullshit. That didn't happen. It never happened while I was there. I never saw it. I never heard of it. And I was there during the time that he said it happened. So it didn't happen. And 6 soldiers that I had trained. Oh hell no. 2 soldiers I had trained. Hell no. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that wasn't going to go down. We didn't just say, "Oh, you're NF. Here's a knife. Go on." We trained. You know what I mean? We trained for the kill. It was not, just to go out there and, and dance, So no, there's no way. There's no way that this guy could have ever done that. I was surprised. I was surprised that Michael Thompson made the Aryan Brotherhood, but he is a J cat. That guy's a J cat.
I'm sure he was utilized to go out there on them yards and do his thing,
Yeah.
Definitely.
I mean, he's dangerous,
Oh yeah, anybody can be dangerous if you're backed up in the corner,
Yeah.
So another question, brother. I know you had a relationship with Babo as well as Manos. I had a personal relationship with Manos. Manos is a good vodka, man.
I love Manos.
Yeah, Manos was good people, man. How were those
my cousin?
Yeah. How were they, man? Just as Ben, man.
Oh my God! If there was ever anybody that I wanted to be, it was Manos.
Good dude right there, man.
Yeah, it was a good dude, man. I mean, I wanted his body. I wanted his looks. I wanted his charisma. He was just, I really, really, really liked him. But he was a good brother. He was dedicated. He was loyal. He was so loyal that he didn't leave to join his brother.
Yeah.
We would have welcomed him with open arms. Come on, brother. Yeah. But he believed and he stayed, against his own brother.
Yeah.
That's how loyal he was until eventually he saw that, oh no, this is not what this is about. I've dedicated my life to the wrong thing.
Yeah, definitely, man.
We were idealistic, brother. We were dreamers, man. We believed, okay, speaking for myself and men like me, there were a lot like me. Believe me, there were a lot of brothers like me. We believed that this was possible, that it was possible to become like the Godfathers we saw in the movies. You know what I mean? To have regiments on the streets like that. We believed that, and that's what we worked towards, and that's how we believed, Now, there were a lot of other people who got in for all the other wrong reasons. They didn't believe, and they were not there because they believed. They were there for different reasons, And it's like I used to say, why are we recruiting all these people if we're going to have to kill all of them and kill half of them? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's crazy, because you've seen like most of the hits out there, we killed a lot of people, were NF on NF, you know what I mean? Because, DR believed that, that's the only way to control the NF was through fear. You know what I mean? So what are we, pressure punks now? You know what I mean? That was crazy. That was wrong. Me, I always believed, and I would tell the brothers there and juntas and stuff like that. I would say, look, if you're not here for the right reasons for the long run, do me a favor, go to your cell, pack your stuff, and leave. I don't want to kill you. You know what I mean? And as long as I don't see you jumping out of the bushes on somebody or standing up in the court and pointing your finger at somebody, God bless you. You know,
Yeah.
I wish you the best. You know, I'm going on with what I'm about. You know what I mean? I don't have time to be worried about what you're not about. I'm about this. And
Yeah.
this is what I'm going on with.
So here's a question, brother. Here's a question I'm sure you could answer, or you could at least elaborate into it. Mundo Mendoza. Did you ever do time with Mundo Mendoza or know of him? I'm sure you knew of him.
You talking about Mundo Deme?
Mundo Deme, yeah.
Yeah. No, you got to give Mundo his.
Oh yeah, no, definitely going to give him his respect. He definitely was doing his thing.
You got to give him his. Even though he turned what he turned and he became what he became, he was a killer.
Yeah. So
he was
he's made some and I don't want to take nothing away from that man as far as his history goes, man. He's historic. He's an historic figure in that organization. But he said that that during them times, man, there's only one confirmed kill between the NF and the M. NF and M. What do you say about that?
No. I myself personally, can account for my share. You know what I mean? But no, that didn't happen. He's crazy. I don't know why he would say that. Who knows? He wants to have bragging rights for something that he doesn't even belong to, and he betrayed. You know what I mean? I never betrayed mine. You know what I mean? To this day, I still love Nuestra Familia. I will always love Nuestra Familia, the one that I remember. You know what I mean? What the core was, what it was supposed to be, what it could still be if the right people were there. And if you recruited the right people. I mean, you can't just go around. You want to buy your way into the NF? You know what I mean? Come on, man. Come on, man. You're not going nowhere. You have to have that mentality that it can be done, first of all. And you have to have like-minded men, around you, the same kind of people. When I was there was a lot of like-minded men. My Cardenales, my brothers, we believed the same thing. You know what I mean? We believed, and we believed together. We bled together. We killed together. You know what I mean?
So this guy right here, and I know you didn't have a great history with this individual, from what I've taken just listening to you. But the people want to know, man. I don't know why this guy's name is mentioned all the time, but I guess he just plays an intricate part into the history. Death Row Joe. What kind of individual he was? What kind of individual was he?
He was he was shrewd. He was a snake. You know what I mean? He was shrewd and he was a snake. I never trusted him. You know what I mean? I didn't like the fact that his position had all the real power. You know what I mean? When you looked at the Constitution, you looked at our structure, all the real power laid with him, with the first captain. And that's what I said. I said, hey, this is our weakness. This is our weakness right here. Bobo, you're just a figurehead. If you look at it, who has all the power? The first captain. It can't be like that. You know what I mean? Because he's going to be our greatest weakness, and sure enough, he ended up becoming that. He was able to steal money, because all the money was going to him, and his family, and all these brothers were out there making these sacrifices, while his family was driving around in Cadillacs and living in new houses, and you had 8 brothers living in one house. You know what I mean? That's crazy, I not me. None of my regiments, you could say that, because, we had a quota that you had to have for the regiment. We were always way above it. But to me, my Cardenales came first. Okay, here's your little 25% back to the bank. Okay, now the rest is for the regiment, is for us, for the brothers to have rent, for the brothers to have cars, for their families to have food. That's what this money's for. You know what I mean? That's what I believed, and that's what we practiced. And if people would stick to that, it would be a wonderful world. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely, brother. So here's a question, man. So when that went down with Cheyenne, were you in the system at that time, or?
No, I hadn't come into the system yet.
Okay, so that happened prior to you getting
Yeah,
there.
that happened prior to me, but everybody that was involved in that ended up doing time with me. You know,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I know.
they all
I know
ended up.
Crackers was involved and a couple other individuals.
Joker, Monsanas, Tiny, all of them. Tiny did just get out, by the way. He got out last year, I believe, 2 years ago.
Yeah,
Tiny made it out.
and
Uh,
so with all this dispensa, homie, with all these defections going on, with all these like norteños dropping out and falling off, and what do you think it is? Do you think the program's just a little too hard for these guys to handle nowadays, or do you think that's because they're pushed out, bro?
they're pushed out. The thing is, from what I see, the wrong people, they get in position, a little bit of power. They don't know what the hell they're doing. They call it the casa. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And you got to do this and you got to do that. And this is this. Hey, wait a minute. First of all, this guy is not a cardinal. You know what I mean? He hasn't made that lifelong commitment. You're putting too much on him. You know, and why? Because you want to feel like a shot caller. You want to feel like you got some authority. That's what I'm seeing. You know what I mean? It's not supposed to be like that. Who are you? You know, it's just, it's not right. Too much is put on them. And what is like that doctor, what Draggy? You guys, they call him doctor. To
Yeah,
me, he's
Dr. Dela Cruz. Yeah.
yeah, Draggy. To me, he's Draggy. He was right when he said, the better question is tell me what the cause is.
Yeah.
What is the cause? You know, for the cause. What is the cause? Is the cause to make sure the NF has money? Is that the cause? Okay, then be about that. You know, is the cause really for the betterment of the people? Then why are you pushing your brother out? Why are you, just so you could feel like you're a shot caller? You want to deem somebody good, somebody no good. You know what I mean? It's crazy, man. It's just crazy. You know, if somebody was smart, he'd get everybody that was deemed no good, get them together and run the other ones out.
Well, I think they're trying that, man, but they just don't have a good leader on the other side, with these
Dun, dun,
dropout games.
dun.
There you go. Yeah, man. Hey, man, dope, bro. I'm so there's a lot of here's a question, man. Here's a question I've always thought about. When the North-South split happened, when it really got implemented, it was really going down, man. What were your thoughts on that? Did you think that was a bad move, man? We should all just fucking been gente and let's
It was
do it, man.
ugly. It was ugly. I thought it was ugly. I mean, I was about organized crime, brother. You know what I mean? That's what I was about. I was about organized crime. I
Yeah.
was about establishing regiments. You know, even if I'm in prison, I can still establish regiments on the streets. It's like a chess game. Put the right people in there, move in the right places. And nowadays it's even easier. You got access to cell phones and all that other stuff. Um, yeah, I didn't like it. It was ugly. I didn't like seeing all these youngsters running out there, putting the yard down, fighting each other, getting shot, and shit like that. And for what?
Yeah.
For what? I would look at for
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, exactly. Here's a question, man, and I know you touched on this with a convict's perspective, man. Shout out to them, man, because they really get down to the bottom of things. Um, Tibbs and we won't even mention Peaky, man. I know you got history with him too, knowing him. Tibbs, man, what kind of man was he? What kind of man was he? I heard he was one of the most intelligent men ever to be a carnal.
Oh, I was the most intelligent man ever to do it. Okay.
I know Tibbs. You pulled Tibbs, right?
Yeah, Tibbs. Well, Tibbs was my partner, man. I mean,
Yeah.
I looked out for him, and we kicked it. But everybody liked Tibbs. Hobo raised his hand for Tibbs. A lot of people raised their hand for Tibbs. You know, yeah, Tibbs he was just a likable guy, man. You know what I mean? He was kind of crazy. I mean, in a sense to where if you didn't understand how intelligent it was, when he got to talking about Tiberius and all that, why he took the name Tiberius and went
Yeah.
into the history of Tiberius, and everybody's like, huh? I mean, you talk about Mexicans who come up from, farm workers and stuff like that. Who the hell is Tiberius? You know what I mean? But so he was educated. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
Intellectual.
Jimmy was also come back from Vietnam.
Mm.
He was a ranger. You know what I mean? So Jimmy had done his share of killing over there. You know what I mean? And come back from Vietnam and went to school, got married, and all that other stuff. He tried, but he couldn't readjust. He couldn't. So he ended up in prison, and inside there, he decided to make the most. The way he looked at something is, I'm going to make the most of what I have. This is my life sentence. I'm going to be a Nuestra Familia. I'm going to be Tibbs. I'm going to be like the Roman general, Tiberius. He had goals.
You achieved.
He was fun to be with. Jimmy was fun to be with. You always end up laughing, having a good time with him. He was that kind of guy. Now, was he serious? Yes. He was serious when it came time to be serious. Pinky was a good dude. You know what I mean? Pinky was a good soldier. I never have nothing against Pinky. You know what I mean? Yeah. Even though we got into it on the yard over, he was doing what he had to do. You know what I mean? Yeah. They were there they had orders. They had to do what they had to do. I did what I had to do. That's all it was. And we were in the cages together while waiting to go to the hospital. And, hey, I love you, brother. I love you too, man. Even though we had just finished out there fighting and getting shot at, you know what I mean?
Yeah, part of the game.
Yeah, part of the game,
Yep. So another question. Mini 14s get brought in after that incident with the pellet in the guy's neck. And just so and I don't know if a lot of the viewers know, I get a few different people in here than they do on the Convicts Perspective. When they get them, they bring them in. Who's the first one to get shot with one?
Me.
Tell us the story on that, brother. What happened?
Okay. Well, what happened was, so when I came back, so, like Hobo talked about, I wrote The Midnight Train to Georgia on the wall and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That day, I stepped out. No, I did not go lock up or leave or anything like that. They took me off the yard. The police, I was going out there to go handle my business. I knew they were going to try to stab me. But I had made it back from visiting to my cell where I got my sword. You know what I mean? And I put on my little Kevlar National Geographic vest. You know what I mean? And I stepped out onto the yard. The minute I stepped onto the yard, because whoever was coming, they were getting some too. You know what I mean? Because I had already told them before, whoever comes, I'm going to be ready. And I was ready. As soon as I stepped out on the yard, the police swooped, shoot, they took me out on cuffs. It was not like I went, no, they took me out in handcuffs, practically carried me. So here I was with my little National Geographic Kevlar vest on and my sword being carried off the yard. You know what I mean? So it was not like hey, I'll see you guys later. I've got to go. No, I just knew that I wasn't going to get killed, but I was hoping I wasn't going to kill nobody, but there was going to be some sword fighting going on. You know what I mean? So
different type of sword fighting.
Yeah, there's going to be some sword fighting going on. And I didn't have no little tiny knife. I had a knife. You know what I mean?
Yeah, bone crusher.
Yeah. So, anyway, so, I got caught up and I got lost there. What the hell was the question?
The question was, so what happened the day you got shot with the Mini 14?
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, so I'm going to make my way back to the Nuestra Familia. The guys that just got treason committed on them. So I'm making my way back to them, and I make my way back. And when I finally get there to San Quentin, I get there and it's all flipped now. Bobo's been demoted. Fig's now in charge, and Casper's there, everything like that. And I said, so what's up? And they tell me, well, this is what's up. And I says, well, what's up with the Constitution? That's what I want to know, because the reason I didn't stay over here was because they said there was no more Constitution, and that's why I didn't stay here, aside from the fact that we had committed treason, but they said there's no more Constitution. What's happening here? Where's the Constitution? I want to know where the Constitution is. This is why I got in. This is why I spilled blood. This is why brothers died, and brothers got life sentences. And they said, well, yeah, there's no more Constitution here either. We're going like this and we're making changes. I said, oh, hold it. Wait a minute. If there's no Constitution, then I'm free. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let me stop and let me think about it. And so while I'm thinking about it, Hobo and them are getting at me, Jimmy, and all. Hey, Sundown, come on. Come with us. Come with us. Come with us. Come with us. And I'm there with Fig and Casper and all them. Hey, stay with us. Stay with us. I just want to get this visit. I knocked this correctional officer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I ended up marrying her, but I knocked her, right? And she was going to come visit me that day. And so I'm going out to the yard. I got these brand new shoes on that I've been saving for this visit. Now I'm the first one off my tier onto the yard. When I go onto the yard, I see Pinky and Ricky there.
Yeah.
Now I think that they're with us. You know what I mean? I think that they got here and they come over here and stayed with us. So I go out there and I hug them, shake hands, and all that other stuff. Right? How you doing, brother? Oh, brother. And I say, hey, you over here with us? And then it got quiet. And when it got quiet, I said, oh no, come on, man. And they sit down. We got to do what we got to do. I said, no. And I kept telling them, no, brothers, no, please, not on my yard. Please, no. They were going to try to hit Fig. They had orders to hit Fig. And I was tired of that because Fig was the most loyal brother, had battled 7 life sentences. And this guy, Fig, was like the most loyal. And so I said, no. All right. You got to do what you got to do. I got to do what I got to do. So I went over to Fig when Fig come on the yard, and I said, Fig, get behind me. I'm tired of this. This ain't going down. So I took off my belt. You know what I mean? They came to try to get Fig. They're coming across the yard with their knives. Fig is behind me. I get to whipping. We get to fighting. They blow the whistle. They fire the warning shot. We're not stopping. They fire down, shoot the damn Mini 14. I do a somersault. You know what I mean? Because they shoot me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I do the somersault. And finally, everybody gets down. You know what I mean? They see that they're real.
Yeah.
And so what happens is it goes in my leg and comes out my foot. There goes those shoes I had been saving.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
And I bet you that was one of the first things that went through your mind, too.
Yeah, there goes my shoes. Anyway,
there goes my shoes. Yep.
Yeah. The somersault was a hell of a somersault, too.
You had a United States Olympic somersault on.
Yeah. Now, this guy was right above me, like 10 feet up above me, shooting straight down on me.
So you guys were right under the tower.
Yeah, right under the tower. So the interesting thing is he writes it up that these guys were coming across the yard with what looked to be prison-made knives in their hands. Yeah. They were coming after Fig. Yeah. Riley steps in. Riley starts fighting him to save Fig. Well, he writes it up like I'm a hero. You don't shoot heroes. So I had him by the huevos, as far as lost. So I had him by the huevos. Anyway, that same guard, the very next week on the same yard, an AB is moving on this other guy. He shoots it down and he kills the AB. You know what I mean? So he ends up going out on stress leave and shit like that.
He was trigger happy.
Yeah, well, he's not going to work no more. He can't take it, conscience and all that stuff.
Yeah,
so Anyway, so that was the first time that anybody got shot with the Mini 14 was that day on that yard when I was protecting Fig against Ricky and Pinky. And that's why I said they took us in, and I'm waiting to go to the hospital. And these idiots up on a tier are yelling down, "Hey, Sundown, I hear you going to the hospital to get your foot out of Pinky's ass." And I holler back at them, blurpity, blurpity, blurp, your mouth, shut your mouth. Don't you be talking about my brothers. This is family business. No matter what's going on, this is family business. It's not your business. So shut your mouth. You know what I mean? Don't be talking like that. Yeah.
So when you get in prison as a youngster, man, you get there, you get pulled into the NF. What was your thinking, man? You said you had that mentality, man, trying to be a godfather or whatever. Or was it more for, man, just the people, the protection, you were trying to be somebody, or what was it? What was your reasoning for getting involved in the NF?
I wanted to be Michael Corleone.
You wanted to be the one.
Yeah, I wanted to be the godfather. You know what I mean? I wanted to be in organized crime. And I looked at the Constitution. I looked at the subdivision, which is what we were going to do on the streets. Mm-hmm. I was already, involved in this kind of life. I'd already had little gangs under me. You know what I mean? So you're going to tell me I can go out there and I can have soldiers and I can do this and I can organize. Hey, sign me up. Where do I sign up? You know what I mean? My nose was open. But what happened, though, was an incident happened where a lieutenant sold out a soldier for some dope. And I wasn't having it. And so I kept pushing it, because the guy thought I was an outsider. He didn't know that I was undercover on probation, to see if I was going to join or not.
Mhm.
You know, I was a witness to everything. I knew the truth. And I kept saying, hey, this is the truth. I know the truth. That guy has to be hit, man, for what he's doing. Constitution says you don't place nothing over a brother, right?
Yeah.
You know, and worst of it all, he's the lieutenant. You know what I mean? And so if you're not going to hit him, let me hit him. You know what I mean? Give him a knife, give me a knife, throw us out there. Whoever wins told the truth. You know what I mean? And I was still all the movies and westerns I had seen or something. I don't know, but that's my mind. You know what I mean? You know, I idealizing something, you know. Anyway, so I ended up killing him is bottom line. You know, that's how I make my bones. You know, they green light it. Finally, they green light because I'm making so much racket wanting him. They said, man, you're rocking the boat. You know, you got to stop talking. And I'm like, I'm not letting it go. You know what I mean? So finally they say, okay, here, you know, handle it. You know, well, I thought it was going to be an equal knife fight. I thought they were giving him a knife and me and him, and we were going to go at it. And this was the great duel under the sun and all that crap.
Yeah.
And it turns out that this was my blood in, you know, that he didn't have no knife, you know.
Yeah.
So I did what I did, you know, and
well, yeah.
I became a member.
You know, at them times, what a lot of people don't understand is killing was commonplace back then.
Yeah, very common.
Everybody on the yard was a killer.
Yeah. You know, like when you go to prison, the person to be afraid of is not the guy who is there for murder. You know, it's the armed robber. You know, why? Because he'll take your shit. You know what I mean? So it's not the burglar, it's not the forger, it's not the drug dealer, it's not the guy who has a murder beef that he kills somebody in the heat of passion. It's the armed robber. You know what I mean?
He's willing to go out there and take your shit and kill you doing it.
And most of the killers that I got to know were armed robbers. You know what I mean? And that's what I was, you know, of course.
Yeah.
Robber, you know?
Yeah, that's a fact, man. You know, them armed robbers, they're willing to pick something up and go in there and take your shit. So to take your wind is just, they like taking, you know, that's what they're going to do.
Yeah.
So one more question, brother. I know we're pushing an hour here, man. We're pushing over an hour. I don't want to take all your night, man. How can people find your book, man? I know your book was being read online. I don't know how you feel about that.
You know, let me address that real quick. Okay. Yeah. I never addressed it. Everybody kept saying, why don't you say something about Boxer and all that stuff? God bless Boxer. I ain't going to say nothing about him. Okay. Anyway, I don't understand. You know, you're warned in the beginning. This book is raw. It's written the way it was lived. You know, I didn't pull no punches. You know, I told it exactly as I lived it. If I was seduced, if I was manipulated by older girls and women, then I told it. You know what I mean? But to make it sound like I was the one that was the pervert, you know what I mean, doing it, that was wrong. You know what I mean? Not that I really care. You write a book, people are going to like it. Some people are not going to like it. You know? Yeah. So I stand by it. I don't care. The thing is if you're squeamish, if your panties get up your butt because pubic hairs are mentioned, don't read the book. You know what I mean? Yeah. You know. Oh, the other thing too is like I remember hearing something about, oh, you don't get permission to write a book like this. Oh, that's bullshit. You know what I mean? Dude, miss me. You know what I mean? You know, I get what I want. You know what I mean? You know, you do. You know what I mean? You let people know, hey, here's the book. I'm writing the book. Hey, go ahead. You know what I mean? Because they know you. Why are you writing the book? Because I'm tired of people like some people who get in for a couple of years. They get out and they write a book talking bad about it. You know what I mean? They talk. Exactly. Yeah, all they do is talk caca about the NF. I didn't talk no caca about the NF. You know what I mean? You know, so that's why I wrote the book. I wrote the book because I was tired of the people who'd only been in there for a couple of years, didn't bring nobody. You know what I mean? Didn't kill nobody to get in. You know what I mean? They're going to get out and write a book and they're experts. All of a sudden, they're experts on the Nuestra Familia. They've been in it for 15 minutes. You know what I mean? And they're going to talk nothing but caca about it. You know what I mean? So that was why I wrote the book. You know, just like the corrido, the song. You know what I mean? Permission had to be getting to even do the song. You know? So the people that mattered, I let them know I'm writing a book.
Yep.
Go ahead, Sundown.
For those of you that don't know, his book is called A Thief on the Cross. Where can you find it, brother?
Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Kindle, iTunes, all the electric things. You know what? I prefer that they get the electric versions because you can read the articles better and you can see the pictures better. The paperbacks, the
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 copies
pictures,
aren't great. Yeah,
yeah, and the articles you can barely even make out. You got to have a magnifying glass, you know.
definitely,
So
definitely,
I would advise buying the Kindles and the iTunes and those stuff like that, the electric ones, because you get to see everything, the articles.
definitely, brother, definitely. One more question. One more question, sir, and we'll end it here. Oh well, we got a couple questions. Wines wants to know if you guys are in the Wines Perez, man. That's a good supporter of the channel, man. Good old school homeboy right there. He wants to know if you guys are in the same age bracket, about how old you are. You don't have to put your age out there if you don't want
Okay.
to.
Well, no, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Take a look, fellas. Take a look at how handsome and sexy I am and shit like that. I'm 66 years old. This is
Good.
from working out every day. You
Yeah,
know, that was what the prison will sometimes preserve some people and some people will tear them down. You know, when I tell you I used to work out all the time nonstop, I'm in it. And that's what preserved me. You know what I mean?
yeah.
I know I don't look no 66 years old.
No, hell no.
Yeah.
You don't look
So
a day. You don't look a day over 49. Trip out on this, brother.
I
So
love you, brother. I
oh,
love you.
bang bang in this motherfucker. You know what I mean? I'm old too. Hey, I'm getting older too, but I look good. Trip out on this. All them burpees.
Yeah.
All this shit going on now, and you know what's going on, brother, with
Yeah.
this Fed split, this split, because you went through a
Yeah.
split in the NF.
Yeah.
How do you see this playing out, brother? Just from your opinion, outside looking in, do you see the brothers getting back together and getting this shit, the boat going, or do you see a lot of waves coming still?
Well, I see a bunch of people licking their chops, waiting to kill some people. But you know, that's not a good place to be in. But they're gonna have to make some kind of peace. They're gonna have to, because they're coming. Look, we're coming into your territory now. Whether or not the guys that are there are gonna allow that or not. What I would do if it were me and I was sitting there getting ready to go into there is I would concentrate on what I have in the state, and I would make that so strong and so secure, so that anything coming out of the Fed, you know, we got the power. See what I'm saying?
Oh,
So now I
absolutely.
got something. Now I got something to bargain with. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because
Oh,
yeah, because this is strong and secure. Now you can be at war with me and you can hate me, but I own this, and this is strong and secure. Or now we can make a peace, a real peace. You know what I mean? And that's the only way there's going to be a peace. Is you have to come from strength to make peace. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And like with us, what they wanted was they wanted to have one NF, not NF1 and NF2. They just wanted one Nuestra Familia, and they wanted Salinas. We had Salinas. You know what I mean? So it was like, give up Salinas, give up the name. They'll have a reentry program. You know what I mean? It'll all become one again, and the war is over. That sounds very good to me. And in the meantime, also, hey, I'm done.
Oh, yeah.
Sundown's done. You know what I mean? Sundown put his in. Sundown put more than his in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anybody got a problem with that? No. God bless you, Sundown. See ya.
Yeah,
You
you
know?
can ride off into the sunset, bro.
Yeah.
A lot of
Yeah.
people could only begin to wonder about things
Yeah.
that you've seen and that you've done. Trip out. So just a personal question, bro. This is me. Why was Salinas always viewed as headquarters, the hub, the one? Salas has always been that one. What was it about Salas? Was it because more brothers came from there, or what was it, brother?
Okay. Now remember that Soledad was key to Nuestra Familia.
Yeah.
And Salinas is close to Soledad.
Okay.
Okay, Salinas, a lot of the baddest brothers that there ever were in the NF came out of Salinas. You know what I mean? There's names that you guys never even mentioned. I don't hear anybody talking about Ernie and Cricket or Casper or any of these people who came out of Salinas who were some vicious warriors. You know what I mean? And a lot of the baddest people that I know came out of Salinas. You know what I mean? And the other thing about Salinas is there were families. You know what I mean? This is something that starts, from the families. They
Yeah.
raise soldiers. They raise them to be soldiers in a sense. That's how Salinas was. Salinas is still today. You know what I mean? And a lot of drugs go through Salinas. Salinas has always been home to Nuestra Familia. You know what I mean? Because everybody in town in Salinas, now it's 150,000 population or whatever, they know of Nuestra Familia. You know what I mean? And so Nuestra Familia rules that whole town. You see what I'm saying? So
Yes,
that's
sir.
home. It's always going to be home. So that's why they wanted Salinas so bad. Everybody wants Salinas.
Oh yeah.
So Salinas will always be the pearl. You know what I
Mm.
mean? Because and it's a moneymaker. A
What,
lot of drugs go through Salinas.
what
More
about
than
Black
you.
Jess from Salas? Black Jess.
Yeah. There's a lot of people coming out. I mean, it seems like almost, I wouldn't say that everybody coming out of Salinas is bad, but I'd say 8 out of 10 of them are. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Well,
So,
hey, we always joke around, man, and it's nothing but respect for the city of Salas when we
yeah,
say, man, them kids there, they're born
yeah,
knowing the bonds. They're born norteños. They're born as soldados, for the
yeah,
cause, man. That's just what it is, man. It's gonna be like that.
yeah.
Anyways, brother,
It's bred into them.
it's bred into it. Man, I appreciate your time, Sundown. I appreciate you, brother, for coming on here. I know you're a busy man. Again, man, what you got going on in the future as far as books, man? What's your life? What you got going on, brother?
Okay. Well, I continue to help prisoners.
Yeah.
That's what I do. I send them packages. I'm looking to start pen pals. I'm looking for pen pals for prisoners. You know what I mean? Uh, People who want to help them take some of this weight up off me. You know what I mean? I send so many packages, it ain't funny. Uh, and different kinds of packages too. Like remember I told you about the greeting card packages,
Yeah.
where you
Definitely.
can send us a packet of greeting cards, assorted, nice ones, not no cheap little ones. Nice greeting cards, a couple of books of stamps. You send that in to somebody. He sells the greeting cards in there. He hustles and he sells the stamps and what have you. And right there, for what cost me maybe $20, you know what I mean? He makes $60. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's worth that much in there to him that he turns around and hustles it. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
then packages, my Guerrilla, I call them Guerrilla packages, which are the, coffee, Zuzus, wham whams, stuff like that.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
$100 packages. I send $100 packages. I mean, I go on Access and all that stuff and I order them and I send $100 worth of stuff, you know, Guerrilla package, the cosmetics, the coffee, the soups, all that other stuff. And so that's what I do. That's why I appreciated the shout out about donations. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
definitely, brother. You know what I want you to do, bro? If when you get the time, man, definitely some of those good brothers, man, that you look out for, man. Send me a list of their names, and I'll post it on my community. And anybody who's looking to write a pen pal, man, get familiar with someone, build a relationship, help a brother out, or anything, man. The names will be there, so they can
Okay,
reach out.
okay, that I want to have more control over it.
Okay, well then we can put it.
Yeah,
I can get them
because
to you.
I don't want to put somebody with somebody where they're going to take advantage of. I'm talking
Nah,
about prisoner.
I
You know what I mean?
understand that.
You know
Yeah,
what I mean? In other words, like before I'll hook somebody up with somebody, I don't want the prison hook them up with somebody who's going to take advantage of them. You know,
exactly.
or
You know
some
what?
girl. Yeah, first letter. Hey, send me some naked pictures in a package. The first letter. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So,
You know what?
yeah,
How about we do this, brother? How about anyone who's interested, man, they DM me, give me
contact
their
me.
information, and I'll give that to you, and then you
There
can
it is.
forward
There.
that.
That's what I was going to say.
We'll do it
Anybody
like
that
that.
anybody that wants to make a donation, send it to you. You know what
Yep.
I mean?
And then
So
I'll forward it to
everything,
you.
yeah, everything to you, and then we'll deal with it. You know what I mean? Uh,
Absolutely.
and because, like I said, this is the first time I'm putting it out to ask for help for pen pals and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it came to me to say, you know what? Maybe somebody out there would want to help somebody, but I also want to talk to that person first and tell them, look, this is how you treat them. This is how you can help them. This is what to look out for. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If a person's trying to play you, you know what I mean? Because I don't want to hook somebody up with somebody that's going to play them. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
You want to look out for both parts,
Yeah,
both
I'm going to
ends.
look out for both of them. You know what I mean? To say, look, okay, because my name's in there and I'm involved in here. All of a sudden now hook me up with this guy that just ripped me off. You know what I mean? Come on. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, you know what I mean. So,
Yep. Yeah, yeah.
Listen, it was a pleasure. You know,
Thank you, brother.
anytime. You know, I love you, man. You make me laugh, brother. You keep me rolling.
That's
You know,
because I do this shit. Bang,
yeah.
bang.
You know,
Hey,
I agree with the more comedy. You know what I mean?
hey, you know what, bro? I try to bring comedy into it because, man, we've cried so many tears, bro. We've been through so many struggles. Hey, why can't we laugh a little, right, gente?
That's how the strong cry. They laugh.
Exactly, brother. Exactly, man. Anyways, I appreciate you, Sundown. Thank you, brother, man. You answered a lot of questions, man. You gave a lot of flecha. Put it out there, brother.
One more thing. To everybody who always gets at me and sends me their respects and their saludos, and I believe me, sometimes I can't answer them all, but I do read them, and I am grateful, and I'm humbled, and I just want to say to the collective out there, to the regiment, you know, thank you. God bless you. I do have a couple more books I'm working on. The Trial of Sundown, Lancelot's Love and Honor. And I want to set some stuff up where I can get more in contact with the people, you know, to answer questions from the people and stuff like that. Because a lot of people have questions. But, hey, do you know this guy? That was my father. Do you know this guy? You know, that was my brother. That was my cousin.
Set up an Instagram, brother. Set up an Instagram, and that's more intimate, man. You could DM people and keep it personal, and you know.
You know, I'm a dinosaur. You're gonna have to help me.
I know. We'll guide you. We'll guide you.
Brother,
myself or Flacco could guide you in that and hook you on up, bro, and then we can go from there.
All right. Oh wow, they got the band here. Hey guys, what's up? My grandson's band. They're getting ready to kick some rock and roll, man.
That's right, man. That's you get the live band, man. You're really living.
Oh,
all right, brother. We're gonna get off here, man. I appreciate you. That was Mr. Sundown. I brought him right there. Questions were answered. I appreciate everybody. I appreciate the klecha. I soaked a lot of game. I'm sure a lot of people did. Thank you again, Sundown. I appreciate you, brother.
Adios.
Orale.
Stay strong. Stay strong, my brother.
Hey, gracias for everybody that tapped in tonight. We had 600 plus. That's a big thing. Gracias. Yes, sir. Love you too, brother. Yes, sir.